Vamos, 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 yabale, yabale, yabale. Ay, ay, ay. Vamos, 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 yabale, yabale, yabale. Ay, ay, ay. Wukak, Jauk, Mudapuk. Ay. Wukak, Jauk, Mudapuk. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Walama. Ay, ay, ay. Vamos, 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 yabale, yabale, yabale. Ay, 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 ay. Vamos, 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 yabale, yabale, yabale. Ay, ay, ay. Today we're standing at Merin Merin Swamp, which is just near Clunes and Talbot. And we're here today looking at what we call a grafted ring tree, or some people call it a strapped tree. They probably strapped it with bark and that to hold it together when they were grafting it. As we know in modern times, we can graft citrus plants together by cutting the bark and joining another branch to it, and it'll join together and heal. Same instance in what we've got here. The Aboriginal people would probably split the bark and put the two pieces of branches together and bind it, more than likely with bark or some sort of string, and it would graft and take and form pretty much what we call a ring. Some of them have beautiful rings in the tree, virtually not a perfect circle, but a very neat circle. Some go a bit wobbly and grow out, but 8 times out of 10 they form a nice ring, and we call them grafted ring trees. These trees denote that there's a special place nearby. It could be a burial site, side birthing tree, or that around burial place, ceremonial site, sacred places. These rings are like a marker to say that there's a special place around here somewhere. We're not always sure what they are unless we come across something. And because this has got a big piece of bark taken out of it, they probably use this as a little one-man skit or a little one-man canoe. Because we're on a swamp, they would, when it got rather wet, they would paddle out on their bark canoes and collect duck eggs and bird eggs and water bird eggs and stuff. So this tree's had a couple of uses. One to denote there's a special place around here, and one for collecting resources and food and stuff. And these are becoming more scarce in the environment to find. So we really admire these trees, or look after these trees. These trees are becoming rather rare. Yeah, there's another thing, a grafted ring tree. So keep a lookout for these if you're wandering out the bush.
The area became known as the Eglinton Swamp, and during the 1850s and 1860s, during the gold rush days, it was broken up into Crown allotments Most of the swamp was actually sold to private landholders, and so a map of this area in the 1860s and 1870s basically showed that there were blocks of about 20 acres taking over most of the swamp. The good news is that in the 1970s and 1980s, the then Fisheries and Wildlife Department bought back a lot of these blocks and put them back into the possession of the government, and that enabled the area to be fenced out from cattle and sheep, and enabled the trees to regenerate. So a lot of the regeneration around here is only probably 50 years old, and this big tree somehow survived. It's sort of a remnant. We know only a few kilometres away from here there's Aboriginal ovens, so this was an important area for, obviously for hunting, probably collecting emu eggs, waterbird eggs, possums in the hollows in the trees. This was a very rich food resource. If you do want to come here, you can walk basically anywhere around the swamp. In the summertime, I'd watch out for snakes, but it's one of the few areas where you can come to where you can stand on the edge of this lagoon, on the edge of this swamp, and you can't see any sign of human habitation. And okay, there's a few odd fence posts, and there's a few places where they've dug into the gravel, but basically you can walk for 7 or 8 kilometres around the edge of this in autumn or spring or in midwinter, and all you'll see is regenerating nature. It's fantastic that this has come back into public ownership, and it's an area that I think in the future that a lot of people will come to and say, isn't this a special place? And we'll be able to join the dots between what was and what is today.
Vamos, 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 yabane, yabane, yabane. Ai. Wookak, Jalk, Moorpook.